Hey, this is Benang. How you doing? I hope you've had an awesome day because it's gonna get even more awesome. I will try to explain those faction-specific keywords. Those are the keywords that you will only see in a specific faction, like the name implies. Without shenanigans, you won't see one keyword in another faction. So without too much forwards, let's just go to those keywords, okay? This time it's not gonna be alphabetical, but according to the row here. So every faction has one keyword, except for Magma. They have two because they are special. And all those keywords are very unique to duelists because they all have something to do with positioning. Every other card game that I know of just has a flat board with a 2D board of duelist. You can have many new interactions, and those specific keywords are the board reliant interactions. Okay, for Lioner we have a very simple one. It's Zeal. As you can see here, Zeal means an effect happens when this minion is close or standing next to your general. So this one, for example, gains attack, this one gains attack too, and this one, heals when at the end of the turn. That's actually very simple, right? But it's very strong too. For example, this one, 2 mana, 2/3. You will get 2 attack for free if it's close to your general. And generally speaking, your minions will be close to your general because Lioner is some sort of has an army feeling, you know, with very close formations, with very sticking in a very compact and very a big bunch of dudes just. Keep in mind, if your enemy manages to steal your minion, then the Zeal effect is according to the enemy's general's position. So if it's, for example, standing next to a Vitruvian that has stolen it, the Vitruvian general is standing close to his stolen Zeal minion, then the Zeal minion will gain the effect. Additionally, for the plus attack minions, when they are being brought to 0 attack, for example by a Blinding Scorch, the Zeal applies retroactively, so you can't bring a Zeal minion to 0 attack. You have to dispel the Zeal. You can't just use Blinding Scorch to remove the attack. Might be important. Okay, Songhai's keyword is Backstab. Backstab means if a backstabbing unit stands directly to the back of another minion, it can attack it with a bonus damage and does not receive a counter attack. And it's important to know it has to be directly behind of him, not like diagonally, but completely in a straight line behind him. And Backstab, the bonus damage part, that's important too because it's not that intuitive, applies on counter attack. If your minion stands behind the enemy Songhai minion with Backstab and attacks, it will deal damage, but it will also receive Backstab damage. So if you plan on removing an enemy minion by attacking, don't do it while standing exactly behind it. Okay? Yeah, that's Backstab. What else is to know? You have to attack from melee to gain the Backstab bonus. If you reply ranged to something, it won't get Backstab damage, even if it is behind it. Unless it's melee, of course. You can attack in melee range with a ranged minion, then it will get Backstab too. Okay? Okay. Then we have Vitruvian. Vitruvian is also an attack modifier, which is Blast. Blast is like a powered up version of ranged. Or maybe not powered up, but a bit changed. Blast If you attack in a straight line, then this minion will attack everything that is in this line, either horizontally or vertically, okay? And it will get counterattacked if there is a minion directly next to it that is damaged, okay? So, for example, there's one in the middle, and then there's one top, and then there's one 3 spaces behind. And you attack the 3 spaces up. It will damage both, but it will get counterattacked by the one that is next to it. There are many interactions with Blast, for example, with ranged. For example, if you put a Science Third Wish on a ranged minion, then it can attack ranged, but then, because it did not, if you did not attack in a straight line, it will not blast anything. So you have to either choose to use the ranged effect or use the blast effect. It does not stack, basically. Then you could of course get a blast minion with Frenzy, which is also possible. In this case, it will attack everything around it, but only get one counter attack. So you can choose, as with Frenzy, the minion with the least attack and get the least damage on your own minion. And whichever minion you chose, in that line it will attack. So if you choose a minion to your right, it will blast to his right. If you choose a minion to his left, it will do a blast attack to his left, additionally to the Frenzy. Okay? And if you have both, all three, blast, ranged and Frenzy, the ranged is basically always exclusive to everything else. Okay? And counterattack, yeah, counterattack is also very important because not very intuitive. If your blast minion attacks another blast minion, that blast minion cannot counterattack. Okay? If your ranged minion attacks another blast minion, the blast minion cannot counterattack. Only the ranged minion can counterattack. So if your Starfire Scarab attacks a Mini-Jax from across the field, the Mini-Jax can and will counterattack, okay? It's a bit counterintuitive, but that's how the game works. Okay, next we have Abyssian. Abyssian actually is not position-based. Their keyword is Deathwatch. Deathwatch triggers every time something else dies, okay? Dying Wish it triggers when this minion dies. Deathwatch it triggers when something else dies, another minion dies. Either your own or the enemy's minions, okay? And yeah, it's valid for tokens, for minions, for everything that dies, basically. And depending on the effect, it can be very strong. It has lots of synergies with the Abyssian faction because they have so many cheap, low cost and throwaway minions. Yeah, there's not much else to say about it. Okay, now we have Magma, the OP faction, because they have two keywords. First one is Rebirth, which is very annoying. Rebirth says when this minion dies, it will leave an egg behind that will hatch at the end of your next turn. Okay, that's a lot of information. First of all, the minion has to die, then it leaves an egg. The egg is a 0/1 minion that cannot move, but can be buffed to attack, okay? And then it will only hatch at the end of your next turn. So turn 1, this minion dies. Turn 2, the egg. and when you end turn 2, the egg will hatch, and when you start your turn 3, this minion is back to full health, unbuffed, unmodified, and it can act. It's as if you've spawned the minion at the end or after your turn. So yeah, when dealing with that, you have to keep in mind to not only kill the minion, but also have something to kill the egg too. There is a special card, it's called Chrysalis Burst. with the effect is to summon four eggs, yeah, 4 random eggs. These eggs do not spawn at the end of your turn where you played Chrysalis Burst, but also, like every other egg, they spawn at the end of your next turn. So turn 1 you play Chrysalis Burst, turn 2 the eggs do nothing, and at the end of turn 2 they hatch, and at the start of turn 3 you can use your minions. They are not exhausted anymore and they are active. Okay, keep that in mind when you plan on playing Chrysalis Burst. And oh yeah, we have another keyword for Magma, which is growth. Oh no, just grow. Okay. Grow means the minion will gain stats at the start of your turn. So for example, the Earthwalker, you play it on turn 1, it's exhausted, it just does nothing. At the start of turn 2, it will gain +1/+1, so it's a 4/4, and then it will be, excuse me, and then it will be active. You can attack with it, you can move it, and then at the start of turn 3, it will gain another +1/+1. So yeah, it's a 5/5. If it is dispelled, it loses all all stats that it has grown. So on turn 5 it would lose +5/+5, and if it sustained 3 damage it would die. So generally grow is a very difficult card to play. Yesterday I've talked about that the minions have to do something on the turn it is played or be very sticky, and grow minions are neither. They have quite low stats for the mana, and yeah, you have to wait a turn for them to do anything, and most of the time it's already too late then, because on the turn it's played they are less prone to survive, and on the next turn, yeah, they're dead already. Okay, let's move on to the last faction, Vanar, and they have a very, very difficult to use but also very strong keyword, which is Infiltrate. Infiltrate means this minion gains an effect if it is on the other side of the board, if it is on the starting side of your opponent. So if you start on the left, it has to move all the way to the right to gain an effect. Not all the way, only passing the middle zone. The middle zone itself, though, is neutral, so Infiltrate only activates after it enters the enemy's side, not on the middle zone. And if an Infiltrate minion is turned, is controlled, it will, you know, just as you would expect, switch sides, and then the Infiltrate would trigger on your own starting side, but because it's an enemy minion, it's the enemy's side, okay? And yeah, that's about it. That's oh, I said it's difficult to use because to fully utilize that, you have to, you know, get to the enemy side. Sometimes you want to take your distance, for example, against Songhai, so the Songhai general can't trade HP, and you don't want to move, but if you want to use the full extent of Infiltrate, you have to. So it's kind of difficult to use. Alright. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've learned how to expect and how to maybe even counter those faction-specific keywords. And I'll see you around then. Goodbye.